On today's episode of NBA Today, one of the big talking points was all about the New York Knicks and the clear direction they're taking with their coaching staff. As I was watching the show, what really stood out to me was the way they framed Mike Brown's vision for this team. The panel emphasized that Brown isn't just here to manage stars or lean on veterans. His mandate is to raise the level of every player on this roster. And you can see that right away with the decision to add another coach, this time specifically focused on player development. The Knicks know where they are as a franchise right now. Yes, the organization is in win-now mode, especially with the way the roster is built around its core veterans, but at the same time, the front office isn't ignoring the future. On the program, they broke down how New York has a group of promising young players, guys like Mohamed Diawara, Ariel Hukporti, Tyler Kolek, Kevin McCullough Jr., and Pacome Dadiet, all recent draft picks, all second-round or late first-round selection. And the point that was hammered home on NBA Today is that you can find real talent anywhere in the draft, but talent means nothing if you don't nurture it. That's exactly what the Knicks are trying to do, and Mike Brown is making sure they have the right people in place to make it happen. One of the highlights from the show was when they shared feedback directly from rookie Mohamed Diawara. He spoke about his summer league experience and how the Knicks, especially Mike Brown, gave him clear, specific feedback. According to Diawara, Brown told him that while his skill set is impressive, what he really needs is to build muscle, to develop the kind of physical frame that can hold up in the NBA. That's not a small comment. That's the head coach laying down a roadmap for a young player's future. I loved how the NBA Today crew emphasized that moment, because it shows Brown isn't just thinking about schemes and rotations, he's thinking about long-term growth. That kind of approach is exactly why New York brought him in. And then came the news that made everything click. The Knicks are hiring Billy Lang, the head coach from St. Joseph's, to oversee player development. This was another big point of discussion on the show. Lang is someone with deep coaching experience, from his time at Villanova under Jay Wright to his years in Philadelphia during The Process, where he was directly involved in player development. On NBA Today, they pointed out how his track record speaks for itself. St. Joe's improved its win total significantly under his leadership, and he's consistently been recognized as a coach who knows how to teach, mentor, and build up younger talent. For New York, bringing him in is about building an infrastructure where player development is not just a buzzword, but a core part of their identity. The panel went on to explain that this hire complements Mike Brown perfectly. Brown was brought in largely because of his reputation for structure, discipline, and maximizing players in defined roles. But no head coach can do it all by himself. By adding Lang to his staff, the Knicks are essentially doubling down on their commitment to turning raw prospects into rotation-ready contributors. For fans, this is exactly what you want to hear. You're not just chasing a championship in the short term, you're making sure the next wave of Knicks is ready to step in and make an impact. Hearing this breakdown on NBA Today really drove home the point that this is about balance. New York wants to contend now, but it also wants to make sure that when the current core gets older or contracts expire, the next generation is ready to step up. And that's why this hire is so significant. Player development isn't just about teaching a rookie how to shoot a better three-pointer or defend a pick and roll. It's about instilling habits, preparing bodies, and giving young guys the confidence to believe they belong at this level. That's what Brown has already started doing with players like Diawara, and with someone like Billy Lang by his side, that process is only going to accelerate. So, to me, watching NBA Today cover this story wasn't just about hearing that the Knicks hired a new coach. It was about understanding the bigger picture. It's about seeing how every move this franchise makes ties back to the dual goals of winning now and preparing for the future. And the message couldn't be clearer. Development matters, and the Knicks are making it a priority. When I was watching NBA Today, one of the most important things that stood out to me was how they connected the Knicks' player development strategy to the bigger picture of their roster construction. The panel made it clear, for a young player like Mohamed Diawara, the message from Mike Brown isn't just about adding muscle or improving his body. It's about understanding that if he buys into the plan, if he listens and puts in the work, then opportunities are going to come his way. That's the real essence of development. It's not only physical, it's about earning trust, carving out a role, and eventually playing your way into a consistent spot in the rotation. And as NBA Today emphasized, in New York's current situation, that's priceless. Because, let's be honest, the Knicks don't have unlimited flexibility right now. They're not going to go out into free agency and chase down every big-name star. The cap situation simply doesn't allow it, not with the contracts they already have on the books and the extensions they'll soon have to negotiate with key players. So the way forward is clear: developing their bench and building the next wave of Knicks internally. That's why the addition of Billy Lang is so important. Now, the big question that came up on the show was about Lang's role. What exactly is he going to be doing? We all know he's here for player development, but does that mean he's going to be on the sidelines during games? According to reporting shared on NBA Today, that won't be the case. Steph Bondy of the New York Post explained that Lang won't hold the title of assistant coach, and he won't occupy a seat on the bench during game. Instead, his focus is going to be specialized, working behind the scenes, developing talent day in and day out, making sure the young players are growing in the right direction. The Knicks already have a full bench of assistants, including Chris Gent, Rick Brunson, Darren Erman, Mo Cheeks, TJ Saint, and others. So Lang's role isn't about in-game decision. It's about complementing what that group does by giving all the attention possible to the prospects and younger guys. And, as the show pointed out, there's also a personal connection here. Lang's ties to Leon Rose, William Wesley, and even the Brunson family go back years. He's from South Jersey, played collegiately nearby, and built credibility with his work at St. Joseph's, where he delivered over 20 wins in each of the past 2 seasons. That trust and that familiarity matter, especially in an organization like New York, where relationships often pave the way for opportunity. On NBA Today, they also touched on why this hire checks every box for the Knicks. Because at the end of the day, this is about balance. Yes, New York is chasing a title this season. Yes, the expectation is to make the finals. But no one in that building wants it to be a one-year run. They want sustainability. They want to win and keep winning. And the way you do that isn't just by leaning on your veterans, but by making sure your rookies and younger players are developed into reliable contributors. That's exactly what Lang is here for. To give context to where the Knicks stand in the bigger picture, NBA Today brought up the latest FanDuel odds for both conferences. According to those odds, Cleveland currently leads the East at plus 230, followed closely by the Knicks at 43-10, and then Orlando at 500. Out west, the Thunder are favored at plus 135, the Nuggets are at 550, and the Rockets sit at 600. These numbers tell a story. The Knicks are already viewed as serious contenders. But here's the thing, they don't want that perception to last for just one season. They want it to become the standard, year after year. And that's where player development once again ties into everything. With Billy Lang working on the growth of players like Diawara, Huck Porty, Dadiet, Kolek, and McCullough Jr. And with Mike Brown overseeing the bigger picture, the Knicks are setting themselves up to not only win now, but to maintain their status as contenders well into the future. That's why, as the NBA Today panel said, every move matters. Every hire matters. Every decision contributes to building the foundation for a franchise that doesn't just want one championship window. They want to keep that window open. So watching this discussion, what I took away was simple. The Knicks are doubling down on their commitment to both the present and the future. They're making sure that when you look at the odds, not just this year but for years to come, New York is right there among the favorites. And that all starts with developing the bench, developing the next generation, and making sure the pipeline of talent never runs dry. And here's the thing that NBA Today really drove home when they wrapped up the discussion. This move by the Knicks is exactly what everyone in New York has been asking for. It's what the organization needed, what the fans wanted, and what the players themselves were hoping for. A clear commitment to development, to sustainability, and to a culture that blends winning now with preparing for the future. Check. check, and check. The panel made the point that you don't always see this type of balance in the NBA. Some teams go all in on the short term, burning through assets and ignoring development just to chase a quick run at a title. Other teams do the opposite. They focus so much on prospects and draft picks that they never really build the kind of veteran core it takes to contend. What's rare, and what makes the Knicks' situation so fascinating, is that they're finding a way to do both. And the hire of Billy Lang is the embodiment of that philosophy. What really resonated with me was how they tied this back to the players who will benefit directly from this move. Young guys like Diawara, Kolek, Dadiet, McCullough Jr., and Huck Porty, they're not just names on the roster, they're investments. They're the bridge to the future. And now, they're going to have a coach whose sole mission is to make sure those investments pay off. It's not glamorous work. It's not something that will dominate headlines, but over the long run, it could end up being one of the most important moves the Knicks make this year. NBA Today also talked about the bigger picture of pressure in New York. This is not an easy city to play in, not an easy market to satisfy. The expectations are sky high, especially after last season's playoff run. Fans want a championship now, but at the same time, they don't want to win once and then fade away. They want sustained excellence, something they can be proud of for years. And the truth is, you can only achieve that by having a strong foundation of player development. That's why this hiring matters so much more than it might seem on the surface. For me, watching the show and hearing that conversation, it was clear that the Knicks are taking the right steps. They're not just reacting to the present, they're building a system that can last. And if you're a Knicks fan, that should give you confidence, because every small decision, every behind-the-scenes hire like this, contributes to whether or not New York becomes a consistent contender. So when NBA Today closed out that segment, the tone was optimistic but also realistic. Yes, this is the right move. Yes, it's exactly what was needed. But now comes the hard part, making sure it translates into results, making sure the young players buy in, and making sure the veterans and prospects grow together. If that happens, then this could be the start of something special. And I'll tell you what, sitting there listening to the panel break it all down, I couldn't help but think, this isn't just about Billy Lang, it's about the Knicks declaring to the rest of the league, we're serious. We're not just here to contend for one season. We're here to stay. That's the message. That's the vision. And for a franchise that has spent years searching for stability, this is exactly the kind of move that proves they're finally on the right track. On NBA Today, the conversation really set the stage for what's going on with the Knicks right now, and it became very clear. Change was inevitable. The panel pointed out that we are witnessing a serious shift in New York, one that goes beyond just tinkering with the rotation. It starts with a young prospect opening up about his future, making it clear what he hopes to see with the team, and it continues with reports that the Knicks are about to part ways with one of their key players from the last 2 seasons. That's no small detail, and it shows the Knicks are headed in a slightly different direction, both in terms of roster construction and how they're going to manage their lineups moving forward. And I want to break it all down for you because the discussion on NBA Today really captured the complexity of this moment. The truth is, we knew changes were coming. Ever since last year's playoff elimination, it was obvious Leon Rose and the front office wanted a new approach. The narrative from the show was clear. The front office had lost confidence in Tom Thibodeau's willingness to trust his bench, and that led to the decision to move on. The Knicks turned to Mike Brown, a coach who not only has a strong reputation for player development, but also for actually using his bench in meaningful moments. That's a shift that matches exactly what the organization wanted, and the show highlighted how important that detail really is. But it didn't stop there. NBA Today also went in on the roster moves the Knicks made to support that change. They brought in new pieces like Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, and a free agent yet to be officially named, along with some young talent to build depth. One name that sparked real interest on the panel was Mohamed Diawara. He's a fascinating player, versatile enough to play multiple positions, a modern forward who can slide between the 4, a small ball 5, or even the 3 depending on the matchup. What stood out from the discussion was how much the Knicks believe in his upside. This isn't a draft and stash situation. Diawara is coming over to New York right away, and while his exact role remains undefined, he's going to have a chance to carve out a spot on this roster. Now, let's be real. As the show reminded us, no second-round rookie on a contending team is about to get 30 minutes a night. That's not realistic. It's very possible that Diawara sees limited minutes this season, but the Knicks like him, they value his versatility, and they want him around. That matters. What really stood out from his comments, which the panel played back, was his attitude. He said he'll take whatever deal comes his way. Standard contract, two-way, G League, anything. His focus is on proving himself, on staying with the Knicks, and buying into their long-term vision. That mindset impressed everyone on the panel because it's exactly what you need when you're fighting for minutes as a 51st overall pick. He also mentioned the feedback he got in Summer League, specifically from Mike Brown. The message was direct: build muscle, get stronger, get into elite shape. And Diawara embraced it. He's already got a solid frame, you can see some strength on him, but he knows it's not enough at the NBA level. He knows that every mistake could cost him weeks of opportunity. That's the reality of being a second-round rookie on a team with playoff expectations. You don't have room for error. And that's why his commitment, his willingness to do whatever it takes, is so important. The show also took a closer look at his numbers overseas. He didn't get consistent playing time until this past season, but when he did, he showed flashes. 19 minutes a game, 6 points, a handful of rebounds and assists. Not eye-popping stats, but the panel stressed an important context. International leagues don't play at the same pace as the NBA. Fewer possessions, slower pace, which means numbers are naturally lower across the board. What matters is the skill set and the flashes, and Diawara has both. So the early takeaway from NBA Today was clear. Mohamed Diawara isn't just another second-round flyer. He's a young prospect who believes in the Knicks' vision, who's ready to put in the work, and who could quietly become an important piece down the line. He's not guaranteed minutes, but he's already showing the mindset you need to survive and grow in this league. And for a Knicks team that's retooling its rotation and identity under Mike Brown, that kind of energy could end up making a real difference. On NBA Today, the focus shifted toward Mohamed Diawara's role after Summer League and how his trajectory is directly tied to the changing dynamics of the Knicks roster. The panel broke down his performance in Las Vegas, pointing out that while his numbers didn't jump off the page, there was still a lot to be encouraged about. 22 minutes per game, 7 points, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists. That's not superstar production, but it was enough to show he's active, engaged, and has a feel for the game. They emphasized that he looks comfortable as a rebounder, shows flashes as a passer, and has the versatility to slide between multiple positions. But one glaring issue stood out: his shooting. 15% from 3 and just 40% from the field isn't sustainable at the NBA level, and it's something he knows he has to fix if he wants to stick. The conversation got interesting when the panel brought up who Diawara himself compares his game to. Right after the draft, he talked about modeling aspects of his skill set after Pascal Siakam and Jaden McDaniel, and when you watch him, you can see it. He's trying to blend that rangy defensive versatility with the ability to push the ball and create mismatches. Diawara even admitted that his shooting is his biggest weakness, something he's been working on every day. But he also said he's confident in his defense and his ability to play across different spots on the floor. Those comments resonated on the show because it reflects not just self-awareness, but also ambition. He's not trying to be someone he's not. He's modeling his game after proven two-way forwards and trying to build from there. From there, the discussion pivoted to what his presence means for the Knicks rotation. The truth is, Diawara is stepping into a depth role that used to belong to Precious Achiuwa, and NBA Today made it official. Achiuwa is gone. After some speculation earlier this summer, it's now confirmed that he's leaving New York and is already in discussions with the Miami Heat, the team that originally drafted him back in 2020. For Miami, it makes sense. They need depth in the front court, and they know Achiuwa's game. For New York, it means shifting responsibility to younger players like Diawara, while also reshaping the bench with other pieces. The panel took a moment to reflect on Achiuwa's Knicks tenure. His numbers weren't huge, about 7 points, 6 rebounds, and an assist per game. But he was efficient, shot 50% from the field, and brought energy when he started. There were flashes when he looked like a double-double guy waiting to happen. But ultimately, the Knicks chose to let him walk, creating an opening for someone like Diawara to grow into that role. And that's not just about one-to-one replacement. It's about New York leaning into versatility and flexibility across the rotation. The show also pointed to the other moves the Knicks are considering as they build around this new identity. Landry Shamet's name came up as a potential fit, especially with his elite shooting number. Last season, he hit 40% from deep overall and an incredible 47% on corner threes. Even though injuries slowed him down after a dislocated shoulder, his ability to space the floor is exactly what the Knicks need to complement stars like Brunson and Bridges. Then there's Malcolm Brogdon, the veteran guard whose scoring dipped a bit last season, but whose reputation as a stabilizer and leader is well established. He averaged 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, and while his three-point shooting fell to 28%, that's well below his career average. The panel agreed it's more of an outlier than a sign of decline. So, in essence, what NBA Today laid out was a broader picture of how the Knicks are reshaping their bench. Diawara is the upside swing, the young forward who could grow into a bigger role down the line. Shamet is the shooting specialist, the floor spacer every team craves in today's NBA. And Brogdon, if he's added, is the steady hand who keeps everything organized when Brunson sits. Precious Achiuwa, meanwhile, is on his way to Miami, returning to familiar ground and even buying a new home in South Beach. That detail wasn't lost on the panel, who joked about him living his best life now that his Knicks chapter is officially over. And in the middle of all this movement, the Knicks are showing exactly who they want to be under Mike Brown, a team that balances young, versatile talent with veterans who can contribute right away. Diawara's development might not happen overnight, but with Achiuwa gone, the opportunity is there. And that makes his progress one of the key storylines to watch as the Knicks head into the season. He averaged 9 rebounds, about 1.5 assists, blocked nearly 2 shots a game, and added a steal and a half as well. And he did all of this while sharing the floor with Isaiah Hartenstein, who naturally provides spacing. Bam Adebayo and Kawhi also create opportunities on the court, which means Achiuwa now finds himself in a very favorable situation in Miami. Personally, I'll be rooting for him. He also pulled down 3.5 offensive boards per night, showing he has the talent. It's just a matter of getting the minutes and the right system to showcase his game. That's why I'll always root for Precious. But with him gone, it makes sense for Miami to move forward with Mohamed Diawara in that type of role. Heat fans have even been vocal about wanting Achiuwa back, saying things like it's time to waive Terry Rozier and bring Precious home. They keep pointing out the desperate need for a backup center, and Achiuwa is already familiar with the Heat culture and system, which makes the fit logical. So, while that part is debatable, the overall point remains clear. Miami needs depth in the front court. And with that said, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and turn on those post notifications. Have a great day, everyone, and go Knicks! We're heading into Thursday morning now, just 2 more days until the weekend. Hang in there, you've got this.